Welcome to the Get Ready with Tony Stewart podcast in partnership with Insurance Nerds. Please remember to subscribe to this podcast. In this episode, we'll be discussing technology and financial services in life insurance and how it can drive increased consumer protection and make agents' lives easier. Joining me today is Mike Pepe, the founder of Proformex. Good morning, Mike. Thank you for joining me.
Good morning, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you on today. So let me tell you a little bit about Mike. Mike is the founder of Proformex, as mentioned. He has 2.5 decades of experience in the life insurance industry and thoroughly understands how important it is to protect families and legacies. As Mike built a successful life insurance practice, he discovered that over time, unmonitored costs of insurance, premium, and crediting rate fluctuations could erode policy values and result in a premature policy lapse. He grew increasingly fixated on a single objective, protecting the policy owner's interests by proactively monitoring the policy performance throughout the insured's life, and thus the Proformex platform was born. So Mike, does that say everything about Proformex? Is there anything else you want to add about Proformex?
No, that's it in a nutshell. It's been a crazy, wild ride, and we're very excited about who we're helping today and where we're going with the company. So again, great to be here.
Yeah, well, the work that you're doing, I think, really fills a niche. We do have listeners across all spectrums of the insurance industry, but for those of us who are involved with life insurance, we fully recognize that this is a huge issue for the industry. How are we going to address underfunded insurance policies? So, we know where you are today. We know that you had other iterations on your way to Proformex. Can you tell us a little bit about the journey to where you are now with Proformex?
Yeah, this goes back to the mid-'90s. I answered an ad for a financial service representative, and next thing you know, I was interviewing at Mass Mutual to sell life insurance in my mid-20s. So, I learned a lot about it. I said, you know what? Why not? This protects clients and helps families. Let's learn about this. So, I was with Mass Mutual for 7 years. Great carrier. Learned a lot about the value of life insurance and why clients need it. But after about 7 years, I really felt that I really couldn't be captive to any one carrier. So I really wanted to go independent to make sure that for all my clients, I could find the best product across multiple carriers. I actually told the compliance officer and the investment specialist that I was leaving. They said, Mike, if you're leaving, we're coming with you. So we formed a full-service financial planning firm where I focused on life insurance. We put it together as a partnership and formed River Financial Group. Still around to this day, great group of guys, very committed about the whole holistic approach to financial planning for their clients. As I was with them, though, I really wanted to focus in on the life insurance and really support professionals and fiduciaries across the country. So I really broke away and formed the Tolly Group. Again, trust-owned life insurance. Figure let's focus on that. So the Tolly Group was born. And as I started talking to professional trustees across the country, I saw that they had the same concerns with managing policies proactively for the long term. So I started to do manual reviews for them, try to stay on top of it for them. But as my practice grew, it was harder and harder for me to stay on top of it. Very time-consuming, very expensive to do. So I felt like there's got to be software out there to help me support it. I looked for about 2.5 years, and there was really nothing out there. It was an add-on for an investment platform, basic stuff, but you could tell that nothing was really bought or put together. The software was built by an insurance specialist. So I said, why not? I'm going to build something for myself. Intended to do it. I created the Tolly Vault, and it was to support the Tolly Group with inForce management. So this goes back 7 years. It was basically an Excel on steroids early on, but it did what it needed to do. And over the years, as it evolved to what it is today, it's a Proformex. A lot of good people, helped me on the way. Good ideas. But about 3 years ago, I drew a line in the sand and said, if I'm really going to support advisors and clients, I really can't be selling insurance anymore. I got to get the word out there and use technology to do this and help disrupt and change the industry. So that was the journey to Proformex. So it's been a wild ride, but I learned a lot over the years, and we're applying it to Proformex now.
Well, that's great. And I think the real magic in what you're doing is that you're able to leverage the work that you're doing, because there's so many policyholders and fiduciaries and advisors that have a number of policies that they're helping their clients monitor, and there's no easy way to do it except the traditional, as you mentioned, doing it one policy at a time, and it's just not efficient, and there's not enough people in the advisory business to handle it. So that's fantastic. So as we both know, it's a well-known secret in the life insurance industry that a lot of cash value life insurance policies have structural issues. How do you spread the message to other members of the financial services community that, hey, there's this big issue out there that's not being addressed?
It starts with communication, whether we're building relationships with IMOs or BGAs, or we're going to industry conferences, or we're creating industry partners. It's, really educating on them and getting them to think, everything that's out there is pre-sale. Everyone's worried about making the sale, which is great. You're protecting the client, but then what happens? After that, these commitments are 10, 20, 30, 40 years in the future. How are you going to be able to position yourself to make sure these contracts perform as intended? And then these people open up about their own experiences and their frustrations. So, once we get the word out there and educate on that, they know they need to do things differently. And most people want to do the right things. It was a time constraint or it was a money thing, and they were lacking the support that they needed from carriers. So by educating on what Proformex does, a lot of people are utilizing the technology to do good for their clients.
Definitely. Do you feel oftentimes that people don't even realize, even some insurance agents, that they actually have this issue?
Oh, for sure. Most guys, again, when I was selling insurance, you talk to the wholesalers, you talk about the products, you put it in force, and you're assuming that policy is going to perform as intended and your clients are protected. What happens in the industry most of the time becomes reactive management. The carrier is going to send the agent a lapse notice or a premium increase, and out of the blue, you jump back into it, and again, you try to fix the problem, but often it's too late because too much time has gone by, so it's hard to fix that, and ultimately the policyholder and the beneficiaries lose out in the game. So, the key is proactive management and making a difference that way.
Definitely, yeah, and I would say, in my experience, it's not usually about the agent not wanting to do the right thing or helping the client. It's just not even knowing that the issue exists. So, that's great.
Correct.
Correct. So, we talked about you being able to leverage through Proformex. So how does technology really drive Proformex's functionality?
Yeah, the key to our system is, I tried to automate as many things as I could for the servicing of a policy and inForce review. So it starts with the requesting of statements and illustrations. We're able to set up the system to automatically request on behalf of the agent directly to the carrier the statement and illustrations they need, so they could even start the process. Once those come back, we're able to utilize our technology to take the data from those documents and put it into our platform and start monitoring individual policy performance based on 5 key parameters that the agent and the clients can adjust throughout the life of the contract. Then we roll up consolidated alerts to identify holistically across the portfolio where are some policy concerns that you want to proactively get ahead of. And then from there, we help the agents utilize our technology to build customizable reports so they could have a consistent deliverable that's easy to understand for the clients. Could also send out reminders and notifications to ensure really sure that the clients are on top of premium payments and any notices from the carrier. And then again, we build in the functionality to support fiduciaries, both professional and non-professional trustees, with their duties as it relates to ILET management, and really support them and protect them and bring value added to them as well.
Well, that's great. That's such a necessary service. The question that I have about this is, insurance companies obviously play a big role in this. How have insurance companies reacted to sharing this information through the Proformex platform?
Yep. You know what? It's getting better each year that goes by. 7 years ago, it was a tough thing to do. It was new. No one was focused on it. Nowadays, more carriers are focused on inForce management. They're hearing more from their producers that they need help and support. With our request system, they're not third-party requests. They're directly coming from the agent or the policyholder, so it's easier for the carriers to honor those requests and get the information back to the end producers or policyholders. We're also a solution provider now with DTCC, which is a data integrator. So through our relationships with general agencies, we're able to get data feeds to start the process, which really streamlines the whole review process and makes it easier for the clients. And again, with the carriers getting comfortable with our security and data procedures, it's a combination of all those, but we're actively working on all that, and I think over the years the data is only going to get cleaner and better and help support the agents and the policyholders at the carrier level.
Well, that's great. And the carriers obviously have the vested interest to make sure policies stay in force and are monitored properly so that they have less issues down the road. So that's fantastic. So do you feel that a platform such as Proformex should be considered a necessary best practices business tool for insurance agents and other people involved with the servicing of life insurance policies?
I do. Whether you're using us or whether you're doing something manually, again, getting away from that reactive approach and wait until you get notified from the carrier. That's the worst thing that can happen because you no longer have time on your side. So with our system, it's proactively done each and every year. It ties back to the needs of the clients. If there's an issue, it's going to identify it sooner than later so that corrective actions can be taken. Hopefully, first and foremost, you correct it internally, fix the current contract. But if not, you identify other products that are out there that may fit the client's needs better currently. So.
Definitely, and I think that's a lesson that applies to our listeners across the insurance spectrum, that it's really about seeing if those policies continue to fit a client's needs and whether adjustments should be made. So doing a thorough policy review is important for everybody in the insurance business across the spectrum. So how do you feel that Proformex ultimately benefits consumers and fits into the greater financial literacy conversation when we know that most Americans have a fairly low level of financial literacy?
Yeah, to me, it's all about education and information in a simplified format. So with our customizable report, we monitor the performance tied back to the client's needs. It shows a simple red, yellow, green light for the policy performance. Again, it summarizes the information that we collect, whether it's a data feed, a statement, and an illustration. We merge it all together and enrich it into one simplified report. But for the agents, they could add a second page to showcase internal modifications, external product replacements, and we have a partnership to evaluate life settlements if the client no longer needs the coverage or can't afford it. So in my mind, the client gets how the policy is performing first and foremost, tied back to the guidelines, and what they can do internally to fix it, what other products are out there, or if they no longer need it, what's the product worth. So each and every year, if the client's getting that, I believe it protects their best interest and makes sure that ultimately the beneficiaries are protected in the long run.
Yeah, and it gets back to the standard of providing sufficient information in a way that clients can interpret, that you're speaking in plain English and giving them a very simple red, yellow, green light, except for, people who drive around me seem not to understand the light system. But other than that, I think most people get red, yellow, and green. So it's easy to have a tool like that where then they can read more, but that it summarizes it for them. It's not the 4-page annual statement that comes from the insurance company and where the client has to hunt around for information on how their policy is performing or if there's an issue, where it can be pretty impenetrable. So one of the things you mentioned is, your relationship on life settlements, and I saw that Proformex just went into a partnership agreement with Magna Life Settlements. How do you feel that improves the Proformex service?
I think it's a huge value add to the policyholders and the advisors that are out there. Magna Life Settlements has been a great partner for us. They see the power of what we do, and again, they're looking to support agents across the country to give them the information to make the right decisions on their policy. So yeah, part of what we do is evaluate life settlement opportunities, but the bigger picture is giving the advisors a tool to help them proactively make sure that the policy is currently in the best interest of the clients, and if not, there's ways to modify it, replace it, or sell it. But with Magna's partnership, it's really helping advisors put their toes in the waters and start with the platform. So that's been great partnership, and we're looking forward to that to continue for a long time.
Well, that's great. I think it's a fantastic add-on. Is while some of us may have mixed feelings about life settlements or having a company own our insurance policy, it is a viable option that should be presented to the clients and have the clients making that decision rather than us as agents or brokers deciding whether to present a life settlement to the client. So I think that's a great add-on to the tool, and it provides the full spectrum of options for clients. I like it a lot. So, we've talked about a little bit about where Proformex is today. What's in the future for Proformex?
Yeah, we have a lot of technology enhancements and reported functionality. The first thing we're doing here, rolling out by the end of the year, is the best interest suitability, so that we could tie back to the best interest standards. There's 13 questions that are going to be embedded in our platform, and they could be updated by the advisor as the client's needs paid, but they could also be added to our reporting. So we tie back to the suitability and the best interest to make sure these products are the right things. We're adding annuities to the platform, so we're going to be able to monitor and track and report on annuities as well. Premium financing is coming next year, so we're going to take our technology, how we monitor individual policy reporting, but we're going to also monitor the loan and double check the collateral and show when the cash value overrides the collateral. So we believe that we're going to help a lot of advisors that do premium financing. And then the big one of my initiatives is the PX carrier scoring. So we're going to assess these carriers on how accessible it is to get data from them, whether it's a carrier feed with full data, whether it's partial data, how long they take to send back statements and illustrations, because I think that's important for advisors when they're looking at products. It's not just about the premium, it's about the long-term, what's ease of business, what carriers support inForce management. So we're going to start independently rating carriers on data accessibility.
Well, I think that's really important. I think that's oftentimes missed, even across the insurance regulatory spectrum, where the regulators haven't really focused in on the issue of insurance company responsiveness to client requests and providing this information, is that this is so far down their list of priorities that I think that's great. So what do you see as the future for the life insurance industry as a whole? Where do you think we're going as an industry?
It's products. We've seen these products change over the years. I think products are going to get more complex. That means more monitoring after the sale is going to be needed. I think carriers, unfortunately, are going to get away from supporting. The captive agencies are going to be going away. It's going to be independent guys or wirehouses. So again, they're going to need the ability to utilize technology to help them monitor these policies. Then that all leads into increased ongoing monitoring of policies and products that are coming down the pipe.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I'd love to see more simplicity in our business. I know on the property and casualty side, Berkshire Hathaway is backing something called the 3 policy, but there's been a lot of debate. The policy's on 3 pages, but does that really cover it all? So, it's unfortunate, but I agree with you. I think we're seeing an increased trend towards more complex policies. So what do you see as your unique business challenges? What keeps you up at night?
The key for us is constantly enhancing the product, taking a lot of feedback as we talk to different advisors and fiduciaries and GAs. We learn a lot for what's important to them, so our technology is constantly evolving to make it easier and more efficient to monitor these policies. So, that's the key, always coming up with the next thing. Keeping us up at night is, just trying to be a disruptor in the industry, that we're all passionate about this. We're up over 30 employees now, and everyone's bought into, at the end of the day, we're here to protect beneficiaries, and that's what we're trying to do.
Well, that's great. That's, always helpful to remember that we're here. If it wasn't for policyholders and clients, we wouldn't exist as an industry, and so it's really important to place them first. So, do you have a funny or interesting story you'd like to share with us, from your many years doing this?
Yeah, I don't know about funny, but, some interesting things I found by our technology saving some clients. One was a foundation that, was a pretty sizable policy, and our system sent them a notification, and they called us up, and they thought they got it in the air because they did not receive anything from the carrier. So, we had them call the carrier directly, and the carrier said that by contract, they don't have to send out notifications. It's not that they missed it, they just not going to send them out for that policy, and the foundation would have lost a sizable gift if our system wouldn't have flagged it. Another one was, a fiduciary, a trustee, large premium payment. The gift didn't come in time, so he called the carrier directly and changed from annually to quarterly payments. Our system flagged that and identified they lost 20 years of guarantees. We were able to get them to call the carrier, adjust it, get the premium back, and save that. So there's a lot of interesting contract twists that our system, identifies and flags by things that you don't think are important, could substantially hurt the client, and it's interesting finding those things as we monitor more and more policies.
Yeah, it's amazing how a little thing can ripple to cause a major issue, and I think that's important, especially for, in the insurance nerds audience. There's a lot of newer agents across the board and new people in the insurance industry, is to not take for granted that somebody else across the insurance spectrum or distribution line is going to address something, is that we all have to take responsibility to make sure that things are being addressed, or at least finding out that somebody else is definitely addressing it. So Mike, you've obviously been super successful. You're doing amazing work. Do you have a rule for success that you follow at the end of the day, a bottom line?
Yeah, the bottom line is, that golden rule, try to do the best thing for the client, just like you want to be treated, and, really be passionate about what you do. So, we're having fun here, but we're passionate, and, our goal is to get the word out and protect every policyholder if we can.
Well, that's great. So, last question for you is, how can people stay in touch with the recent developments in their areas? What thought leaders or sites should people be paying attention to in this space?
Yeah, well, we have a blog, so you could go to our blog on our website, Proformex.com. We do a lot of white papers, case studies, industry updates, but over the years, we do have different partners in the industry. Jon Mendelsohn with Ashar Group, Life Settlement bidder. So they're great people, but they do a lot of industry analysis and updates on the settlement side. Flagg with Veralytic, again, he's been in the corner for best interest for a long time, so we focus on the cost of the policies and if you're going to be able to sustain it. Samuelson from the Life Product Review. Again, Bobby knows these products inside and out and really publishes some great pieces about products. Jim Purdy and Austin Barnes from Magna Life Settlements. Again, they're out there supporting advisors and really, telling the word about inForce management and options for the clients. Tate Groome, one of my earliest subscribers, Life Trust 3D. He utilizes the platform and combines it with his consultant services to support several different banks. And Neifer, one of my original co-founders, now is the owner of inForce Insights. And again, he knows the technology inside and out, and he's a premier consultant as it relates to insurance advisory work. So, these thought leaders working together for a common goal, I think it benefits everyone.
Well, that's great. And for our listeners, we'll get the names and websites for all the thought leaders that Mike mentioned and get them into the show notes so that you can check these people out for yourself. So, Mike, where can people learn more about you and Proformex?
So again, on our website for sure, you could follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook, and obviously, call us directly. We love to do a demo for any advisors or fiduciaries out there and show what our technology can do.
Well, that's great. And the links to Mike's website and social media presence for Proformex will also be posted in the show notes. Mike, thank you so much for coming on and joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Great. And please remember to subscribe to the Get Ready with Tony Stewart podcast. Signing off. Thank you, Mike, again.
Thank you.